Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something that's going to hit home for a lot of you. How to stop stressing, stop forcing, and start flowing with life. You know that feeling when you're trying to control every little thing? The outcomes, the timing, how people react. It's exhausting, right? You plan every step, push harder, and grip tighter, thinking that's the way to make things happen. But what if I told you that letting go is actually the key to getting what you want? Not giving up, but trusting the process and focusing on what really matters. This isn't just another self-help pep talk. We're going deep into a mindset shift that can change how you approach success, relationships, and your own peace of mind. It's rooted in Stoic philosophy, those ancient thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus who figured out how to live with calm and confidence no matter what life threw at them. Stick with me until the end, because I promise you'll walk away with a new perspective on how to move through life without all that anxiety and frustration. Before we jump in, do me a quick favor. If you're liking what we're diving into here, hit that subscribe button. It takes a second, and it helps us bring this kind of content to more people who need it. Alright, let's get into it. The trap of control. We spend so much of our lives obsessing over results. You're waiting for that job offer, hoping that relationship works out, or stressing about whether all your hard work will actually pay off. Sound familiar? You tell yourself, if I just push a little harder, plan a little better, I can make this happen. But here's what happens. The tighter you hold on, the more stressed you get. The process stops feeling good, and your happiness starts depending on something you can't fully control. That's where we get stuck. The Stoics nailed this one. Epictetus, one of the greats, said we don't suffer because of what happens to us, but because of how we think about it. He taught that instead of wishing for things to go exactly your way, you should focus on what you can control, your effort, your mindset, your actions, and let the rest fall into place. It's like painting a picture. If you're obsessing over every brushstroke, worrying about what people will think, you'll never get in the zone. But when you focus on the act of painting, let go of the outcome, and just create, that's when the magic happens. That's when you're free to do your best work. This applies to everything, your career, your relationships, your personal growth. When you stop fixating on how things have to turn out, you give yourself room to actually enjoy the journey. Think about relationships for a second. You ever see someone trying way too hard to impress someone else? Feels forced, needy, and it usually pushes people away. But when someone's confident, comfortable in their own skin, and not obsessed with making things work out a certain way, they naturally draw people in. Why? Because they're not acting out of fear. They trust that whatever's meant to happen will happen. That's the power of letting go. Success isn't a checklist. Let's talk about success for a minute. So many of us have this rigid idea of what it looks like. Graduate by this age, make this much money, hit these milestones. And if life doesn't follow that exact plan, we feel like we're failing. But here's the truth. Success isn't a straight line. It's messy, full of detours, setbacks, and surprises. If you're so focused on one specific outcome, you might miss an even better opportunity that's waiting for you. Take a second and think, what are you holding on to too tightly right now? Maybe it's a goal, an expectation, or even a specific outcome that's stressing you out. Now imagine what would happen if you loosened your grip. Not giving up, but trusting that whatever happens, you'll be okay. That's what the Stoics called detachment. Not apathy, but freedom from needing things to go a certain way to feel at peace. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly when he said we should accept what comes naturally and stop fighting against reality. Struggling against things you can't control, like other people's opinions or life's timing, only leads to frustration. The real battle is in your mind, training yourself to focus on what you can shape and letting go of the rest. How to start letting go. So, how do you actually do this in real life? It's not like you just snap your fingers and stop stressing. Here are a few practical steps to get you started. First, remind yourself every day that outcomes aren't in your control. You can't make someone hire you, love you, or agree with you, but you can control your effort, your discipline, and how you show up. Focus on that. Second, reframe how you think about challenges. Instead of thinking, I need this to happen, try, whatever happens, I'll grow from it. That shift takes the pressure off and lets you stay grounded. And finally, stay in the present moment. So much of our stress comes from worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to move forward? That question alone can pull you out of overwhelm and back to what matters. Life's going to throw curveballs at you. Some days everything flows, and other days it feels like the universe is out to get you. The difference between people who fall apart and those who thrive isn't luck. It's mindset. The Stoics believed every challenge is a chance to practice patience, resilience, and wisdom. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Every struggle is like a mental gym session. It's making you stronger. The power of your mindset. Your mindset shapes everything. William James, the father of modern psychology, said our greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. You don't have to buy into every negative thought that pops into your head. You don't have to let a tough moment define you. Instead, you can step back, reframe the situation, and choose a perspective that empowers you. Here's an example. Let's say you're struggling at work. Maybe you're messing up, your boss is on your case, and you feel like you're failing. One way to think about it is, I'm terrible at this. I'll never get it right. That's a fixed mindset and it keeps you stuck. But what if you flipped it? Every mistake is teaching me something. This pressure is helping me grow. That's a growth mindset, and it turns challenges into opportunities. The Stoics were all about this. They saw every obstacle as a chance to practice virtue. That annoying coworker? A chance to practice patience. That setback in your career? A chance to build resilience. When you start seeing life this way, nothing feels like a dead end anymore. Everything becomes a chance to get better. The power of patience. One of the hardest things to do when you're chasing something big, a career goal, a relationship, or even personal growth, is to stay patient. You've put in the work, you've done everything right, but the results just aren't showing up yet. It's frustrating, isn't it? We live in a world that's all about instant gratification. Fast food, fast information, fast success. We're told that if things aren't happening quickly, we must be doing something wrong. But the Stoics had a different take. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Think about that. Anything worth having, whether it's wisdom, strength, or success, takes time. Imagine a young artist dreaming of making it big. They're pouring their heart into their work, but the recognition isn't coming yet. They've got two choices. Get frustrated, lose faith, and quit, or trust that every brushstroke, every piece they create, is building towards something greater. The ones who keep going, who trust the process, are the ones who eventually get where they're meant to be. It's not about forcing the outcome. It's about showing up consistently and letting time do its thing. This idea applies to everything. You can't rush a relationship into being perfect. You can't force a skill to develop overnight. And you definitely can't make life move on your schedule. Trying to speed things up usually just leads to disappointment. The Stoics would say, focus on what's in your control. You can't control when the results come, but you can control your effort, your discipline, and how you show up every day. Trust that if something's meant for you, it'll come when the time's right. Not a second too soon or too late. Practicing patience in real life. So, how do you actually stay patient when it feels like nothing's happening? First, remind yourself that life has its own rhythm. Just like a farmer can't make crops grow faster by yanking on them, you can't force your goals to materialize before they're ready. Do your part, plant the seeds, water them, give them sunlight, but then trust the process. Second, shift your focus to the present. So much of our frustration comes from obsessing over when something will happen. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do today to get closer to my goal? Maybe it's learning a new skill, reaching out to someone, or just showing up with your best effort. When you focus on the now, you stop stressing about the future. And finally, reframe waiting as growth. The Stoics believed every moment, even the slow ones, is a chance to practice virtue. Patience, resilience, discipline. Seneca said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. That time when nothing seems to be happening is not wasted. It's training you to be stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what's coming. Chasing versus attracting. Here's something you've probably noticed. When you desperately chase something, a job, a relationship, success, it feels like it keeps slipping further away. The harder you try, the more it eludes you. But when you act with calm confidence, things start to fall into place. The Stoics understood this difference between chasing and attracting. Epictetus put it this way: first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In other words, get clear on who you are and what you stand for, then act from that place of clarity, not from fear or desperation. Let's break it down with an example. Imagine two people looking for a job. The first is frantic, applying to anything and everything, panicking over every rejection, and coming across as scattered and anxious. The second person is focused. They know their strengths, they take time to craft thoughtful applications, and they prepare without obsessing over the outcome. Who's more likely to land the job? The one who's calm, confident, and strategic. Why? Because they're acting with purpose, not desperation. This applies to relationships too. If you're chasing someone out of fear of being alone, fear of missing out, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. That needy energy pushes people away. But when you approach relationships with confidence and self-respect, you attract healthier connections. People are drawn to those who are secure in themselves, not those who are grasping for validation. Aristotle talked about something called eudaimonia, a state of living with purpose and fulfillment. He believed true happiness comes from aligning your actions with your values, not from chasing external things like money or status. When you move through life with intention, you make better decisions. You stop wasting energy on things that don't align with who you are or what you want. Acting with purpose. So, how do you shift from chasing to attracting? It starts with clarity. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I acting out of fear of failure, fear of not being enough, or because this truly aligns with who I am? Getting clear on your why helps you move with purpose, not panic. Next, slow down. Desperation makes you rush, but purpose is patient. Instead of making impulsive decisions out of fear, take time to reflect and choose wisely. And finally, trust yourself. You don't need to force things to happen. When you act with confidence and alignment, opportunities come to you naturally. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." A lot of our stress comes from imagining worst-case scenarios. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? But the truth is, you're stronger than you think, and what's meant for you will find you when you're ready. The illusion of control. Have you ever felt completely drained from trying to make everything go your way? You plan every detail, strategize, push, and try to predict every outcome. But somehow, things still don't unfold the way you expect. It's exhausting, right? The harder you try to control everything, other people's actions, the timing of your goals, even the future, the more it feels like life's slipping through your fingers. Here's the paradox the Stoics figured out centuries ago. The more you try to control what's outside your power, the less control you actually have. Epictetus, one of the Stoic heavyweights, said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Think about that. True freedom doesn't come from micromanaging every aspect of your life. It comes from letting go of the need to control what you can't. The moment you stop wasting energy on things like other people's opinions, the past, or the future, you reclaim your power. You start focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your responses, your actions, and that's where real strength lies. Take relationships, for example. Ever tried to change someone? Maybe you wanted a friend, partner, or family member to act differently, be more supportive, more understanding, or more aligned with what you want. But no matter how hard you try, they stay the same. Why? Because people aren't yours to control. You can communicate, set boundaries, or choose who you keep in your life, but you can't force someone to change. When you let go of that need, you free yourself from frustration and let relationships unfold naturally. Control versus effort. This idea applies to success too. So many of us think that if we just push harder, we'll get to our goals faster. But there's a big difference between effort and control. Effort is about showing up, doing the work, and staying disciplined. Control is obsessing over every detail, stressing about the timing, and fearing failure. That obsession creates resistance, not progress. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." When you fight life's natural flow, you're creating unnecessary struggle. But when you focus on your effort and trust the process, things start to align. Picture this: you're prepping for a big job interview. You've done the research, practiced your answers, and you're ready. But instead of trusting your preparation, you start overthinking. What if they ask something I don't know? What if I mess up? What if I don't get the job? That's your need for control kicking in, and it's shifting your energy from confidence to anxiety. You walk into the interview tense, second-guessing yourself, and it shows. But if you take a deep breath, remind yourself you've done the work, and let go of the outcome, you show up relaxed, present, and way more likely to nail it. How to let go of control. So, how do you actually let go in real life? It's not about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about being intentional with where you put your energy. Here are a few ways to start. First, practice the Stoic idea of the dichotomy of control. Make a mental note of what's in your power and what isn't. You can't control the economy, other people's choices, or unexpected obstacles, but you can control how you respond. Stop wasting energy on what's out of your hands. Second, embrace acceptance. Life isn't always going to follow your plan, and that's okay. Sometimes, those detours lead to better places than you could have imagined. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." Instead of fighting life's timing, lean into it. Trust that if things aren't happening as fast as you want, maybe you're still becoming the person who's ready for them. And third, build trust in yourself. You don't need to control every outcome because you're resilient enough to handle whatever comes. The Stoics believed that no matter what happens, you have the strength to adapt and keep moving forward. That confidence lets you loosen your grip and live with more ease. The freedom of acceptance. Here's the beautiful thing about letting go of control. It doesn't mean you stop caring or stop trying. It means you stop tying your happiness to things you can't predict or force. When you accept that life has its own rhythm, you start to notice something. Things flow better. Opportunities show up when you're not frantically chasing them. Relationships feel more natural when you're not trying to force them into a certain mold. Even your own peace of mind grows when you stop stressing about what's next. Think about a time when you were so focused on making something happen that you missed what was right in front of you. Maybe you were so caught up in landing a specific job that you didn't see another opportunity that was even better. Or maybe you were so focused on making a relationship work that you didn't notice how much stress it was causing you. When you let go of the need to control, you open yourself up to possibilities you might have missed. Seneca had a great way of putting it. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. So much of our stress comes from worrying about what might happen. What if I fail? What if things don't work out? But the truth is, you're stronger than you think. You don't need to scramble to make everything perfect. Focus on what you can do. Trust that you'll handle whatever comes, and let life unfold. Scarcity versus abundance. Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to attract success, opportunities, and good vibes effortlessly? It's not like they've got some secret superpower. It's their mindset. The way they think, carry themselves, and view the world creates a reality where things just seem to work out. On the flip side, others are always struggling, no matter how hard they try. They're focused on what's missing, what's wrong, or what they don't have. The Stoics figured this out long ago, and modern psychology backs it up. Your mindset shapes your reality. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." That's the core of an abundance mindset. It's not about piling up money, achievements, or stuff. It's about realizing you already have everything you need to live a fulfilled life. When you stop operating from scarcity, thinking there's never enough time, money, love, or opportunities, you make room for more to come to you naturally. Picture two people walking into a networking event. One stuck in a scarcity mindset, obsessing over what they don't have. Maybe they feel like they're not successful enough, not connected enough, or not good enough. Their energy's heavy, their vibe's off, and they end up pushing people away without even realizing it. The other person walks in with confidence, believing they have enough skills, enough value, enough to offer. They're open, engaging, and walk away with new connections and possibilities. The difference? One's living in lack, the other in abundance. Abundance in every area of life. This doesn't just apply to career or money. It's about relationships, happiness, even time. If you're always thinking there's not enough, never enough love, never enough good people, never enough hours in the day, your mind will keep finding proof of that. But when you shift to an abundance mindset, you start seeing possibilities everywhere. You notice the kindness in people, the opportunities in every moment, and the blessings already in your life. Psychologist William James, often called the father of modern psychology, said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. If you're constantly focused on what you're missing, your brain zeroes in on that lack. But if you train yourself to see abundance, through gratitude, confidence, and trust, you change your entire reality. It's not some woo-woo magic. It's how your brain works. What you focus on grows." Let's take a musician as an example. One musician's stuck in scarcity, always worrying there aren't enough gigs. The industry's too competitive, or they'll never make it. Every rejection feels like proof they're failing. They play it safe, avoid risks, and miss out on big opportunities. Now, imagine another musician who lives in abundance. They see every rejection as a chance to pivot, every challenge as a way to grow. They take risks, connect with people, and keep creating. Eventually, they find success not because they're luckier, but because they're not weighed down by fear. Building an abundance mindset. So, how do you start living this way? It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about shifting your perspective. First, practice gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's missing, take a moment every day to appreciate what you already have. Could be as simple as a good conversation, a skill you're proud of, or even the fact that you're here learning and growing. Gratitude rewires your brain to see the good, and that attracts more of it. Second, act like you already have enough. Move through life with confidence, knowing that opportunities are out there and you're ready for them. This doesn't mean being cocky. It means trusting that you're capable and the world has plenty to offer. When you carry yourself this way, people notice, doors open, and things start to align. And finally, let go of attachment. The Stoics were big on this. You don't need to cling to specific outcomes to feel okay. Trust that what's meant for you will come not through force, but through alignment with your actions and values. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you." When you stop needing things to go a certain way, you free yourself to see the possibilities that are already there. Reframing challenges as opportunities. An abundance mindset also changes how you handle challenges. The Stoics saw every obstacle as a chance to practice virtue, patience, resilience, wisdom. Instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" try, "What can this teach me?" That shift turns setbacks into stepping stones. Maybe a job rejection pushes you toward a better opportunity. Maybe a tough relationship teaches you about self-respect. When you approach life with this mindset, nothing feels like a dead end. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Every struggle is training you to be stronger, wiser, and more adaptable. So, the next time you're frustrated because things aren't going your way, pause and ask, "How can I use this moment to grow?" That question alone can flip your perspective and open up new possibilities. Aligned action versus desperate action. Have you ever found yourself pushing harder and harder toward a goal, doing all the right things, but still feeling like you're running in circles? It's frustrating, right? You're putting in the work, following every step, but the results just aren't showing up as fast as you want. We've been taught that success is all about grinding, never stopping, never letting go. But here's the truth the Stoics figured out. There's a huge difference between aligned action and desperate action. And sometimes the real secret to progress is knowing when to act and when to trust the process. Seneca said, "Effort and patience will achieve more than force and anxiety." That's the key. Aligned action is about taking smart, purposeful steps that line up with your values and goals. Desperate action is when you're scrambling, trying to force things to happen out of fear or impatience. It's like trying to untangle a knot. The harder you pull, the tighter it gets. But when you slow down, work with intention, and give things space to unfold, everything starts to flow. Think about trying to fall asleep. You can't force yourself to sleep, right? The more you try, the more restless you get. But when you relax, let go, and trust that sleep will come, it happens naturally. The same goes for success, relationships, or personal growth. You've got to take action, but you also have to trust that things will develop in their own time. Applying aligned action. Let's break this down with some examples. In relationships, have you ever met someone who tries too hard? Maybe they're texting constantly, always seeking reassurance, or coming on too strong. Their energy feels heavy, almost desperate, and it can push people away. Now compare that to someone who's confident, shows interest but gives space, and trusts that things will unfold naturally. They're way more likely to build genuine connections because they're not forcing anything. That's aligned action, acting with intention and letting go of the need to control the outcome. The same applies to your career. Maybe you've been hustling, chasing every opportunity, and stressing about why things aren't moving faster. But what if you shifted your focus? Instead of panicking, you could trust that your work is enough. Focus on being excellent at what you do, building meaningful connections, and letting the right doors open when they're ready. This doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means taking smart, deliberate steps and then giving life space to work. Marcus Aurelius summed it up perfectly in Meditations. Do what you must, and let what happens happen. That's the essence of aligned action. You focus on what's in your control, your effort, your discipline, your mindset, and let go of obsessing over the results. Because no matter how much you plan or push, there will always be things outside your control. The more you resist that, the more stressed you get. How to practice aligned action. So, how do you actually do this in your daily life? Here are a few steps to get you started. First, get clear on your goal and the steps you need to take. What's the next actionable thing you can do to move forward? Do your part, prepare, learn, show up, but don't try to force the outcome. Second, let go of the need to control when or how things happen. Accept that life's timing isn't always up to you. Sometimes the wait is part of the process, preparing you for what's coming. And third, trust in your own resilience. Even if things don't go exactly as planned, you'll adapt, learn, and find new opportunities. The Stoics believed that no matter what happens, you have the strength to handle it. Let's look at another example. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. They prepare the soil, plant carefully, water the seeds, and make sure they get sunlight. But after that, they don't dig up the seeds every day, demanding they grow faster. They trust that, in time, the crops will come. If they tried to rush it, they'd only ruin the harvest. Life's the same way. You do your part, but then you have to trust that things will unfold at their own pace. The power of trusting the process. This idea of trusting the process is huge. When you stop trying to force every outcome, you create space for things to happen naturally. In relationships, this means showing up authentically without needing to control how the other person responds. In your career, it means putting in the work without stressing about when the promotion or breakthrough will come. In personal growth, it means focusing on who you're becoming, not just what you're achieving. Seneca had a great line, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." When you fight life's natural rhythm, you're dragging yourself through unnecessary struggle. But when you align your actions with your values, take purposeful steps, and trust that things will work out, you move with ease. You're not giving up, you're giving life room to breathe. Mastering yourself is the real goal. At the end of the day, life isn't about controlling every outcome, hitting every milestone, or getting everything you want exactly when you want it. It's about mastering yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, your choices. The Stoics believe that true power doesn't come from external things like money, status, or even success. It comes from within, from how you navigate the ups and downs of life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about it. You can't control the economy, other people's actions, or unexpected setbacks. But you can control how you respond. That's where your real power lies. When you shift your focus from trying to force life to go your way to mastering your own mindset, everything changes. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start feeling like the captain of your own ship. Take a moment to reflect. How often do you get stressed or frustrated because things aren't going according to plan? Maybe a project didn't work out, a relationship hit a rough patch, or life just threw you a curveball. The Stoics would say, don't waste energy fighting what's out of your control. Instead, focus on what you can shape: your attitude, your effort, your perspective. That's how you turn challenges into opportunities and setbacks into growth. The Stoic Toolkit for Self-Mastery. So, how do you actually master yourself? The Stoics left us a toolbox full of practical strategies, and I'm going to share a few you can start using today. First, practice self-awareness. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Are you feeding yourself thoughts of fear, doubt, or frustration? Or are you choosing thoughts that empower you? Epictetus said, you don't have to believe every thought that enters your mind. When a negative thought pops up, like, I'm not good enough, or this will never work, challenge it. Ask yourself, is this true? What's a better way to look at this? Second, embrace the dichotomy of control. We've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating. Focus only on what's in your power. You can't control what others think or do, but you can control how you show up. You can't control life's timing, but you can control your discipline and effort. This mindset frees you from wasting energy on things that don't matter and lets you pour your focus into what does. Third, practice gratitude daily. This isn't just about feeling thankful. It's about rewiring your brain to see abundance. Take a minute every day to write down or think about 3 things you're grateful for. Could be a small win, a kind moment, or even just the fact that you're here, learning and growing. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already yours, and that changes how you experience life. Living with confidence and calm. When you master yourself, you start to live differently. You move through life with a sense of calm confidence, knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way. The Stoics called this living in accordance with nature, not just the world's nature, but your own. It's about aligning your actions with your values, staying true to who you are, and trusting that you're enough. Let's look at an example. Imagine 2 people facing a tough situation, like a job loss. One person spirals into panic, obsessing over what went wrong and what might happen next. They're stuck in fear, trying to control things they can't. The other person takes a deep breath, assesses what they can do, update their resume, reach out to their network, learn a new skill, and moves forward with purpose. They trust that, even if things don't work out exactly as planned, they'll find a way. That's self-mastery in action. Seneca said, you are stronger than you think. That's the truth. You don't need to force life to go your way because you have the resilience to adapt, learn, and keep going. When you trust in your own strength, you stop chasing external validation and start living from a place of inner certainty. Bringing it all together. This series has been about one big idea. Stop forcing, start flowing. The Stoics taught us that real power comes from within, from focusing on what you can control, letting go of what you can't, and trusting the process. Whether it's your career, relationships, or personal growth, the key is to act with intention, stay patient, and believe that what's meant for you will come when the time's right. Here's a quick recap of what we've covered. Part 1. Let go of the need to control everything and focus on your mindset, actions, and effort. Part 2. Practice patience and shift from chasing to attracting by acting with purpose. Part 3. Find freedom by accepting what you can't control and trusting in your resilience. Part 4. Cultivate an abundance mindset to see opportunities and possibilities everywhere. Part 5. Take aligned action instead of desperate action, and trust the process to unfold. And now, Part 6. Master yourself by choosing your thoughts, focusing on what's in your control, and living with gratitude and confidence. The Stoics knew this truth centuries ago, and it's just as powerful today. Life doesn't have to be a constant struggle. When you shift your focus from chasing outcomes to mastering yourself, everything starts to fall into place.